Let's go. Another episode of Diversity Kings. Special episode. This is an individual that I actually got to meet with through the Patrick Bet Consulting Sales Leadership Summit event. Probably a couple months back, met with Brett and just hit it off right off the rip. You know what I mean? I knew he was in business. I was in business. Nobody there was not in business. The entry level ticket was $5,000. So everybody was in business, right? So a little bit about Brett before we jump into this. And I took a little pre-workout because I hit a workout before this if I sound fast. That is why. And I'm in sales if I sound fast. So Brett Granger, he decided early on that going to a university and working a traditional job wasn't for him. I love people outside of... Were you born and raised in Canada?
Yeah.
I love how people reference college as like university. Going to the university instead of like going to college. Thing. I think it's just like an out of America thing because I've heard many different like individuals say that are not like going to college in America. Go to university was not for him. He realized early on at 21 years old from some mentors who turned their lives around that direct sales was where his passion was. Opening his first business venture at 24 years old and becoming a millionaire by the age of 28. He's a leader in the residential fire safety space and scaling his empire to an 8-figure-a-year business. For those of you that don't know what 8 figures is, that's when you go from 1 million to 10 million. Ta-da! So let's jump right in. Brett, how was the trip down from Canada, man?
Oh man, it was a challenge to get down here, but I'm grateful we made it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So what part of Canada are you from?
I'm from Toronto originally.
Where is that? That's
Drake,
Drake, Canada?
Pardon?
Is that Drake Canada?
I think it's Great Canada.
Is it where Drake?
That's where Drake's from, yeah.
Okay.
To be honest, Drake's house is probably like 20 minutes down from our office, actually.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. So you were born and raised in Toronto?
No, so I wasn't actually. Toronto's like one of the biggest cities in Canada. I'm from a small little town called Winnipeg, Manitoba.
I feel like I've heard of it though.
You would have heard of it from the Winnipeg Jets, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's basically the coldest place on earth. It's like minus 50 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's cold as shit. Like you go there, and in the wintertime, it's like minus 50 for like 3 months out of the year. Like you walk outside, and if you're outside for too long, like you could basically die, man.
Wow. Okay, so what night are you guys French?
Actually, that's not too far from here. It's only 8 hours north of here, I think. Actually,
oh yeah,
it's like a little swamp area. Yeah.
Now, are you guys like French? Like, what's the nationality?
Up there, it's English, but there's French parts. So
what about you? What are you?
English? I'm English, French, and Indigenous or Native or Native American, I guess is what they call it down here.
Do you speak any other languages?
I speak a little bit of French. I understand it un petit peu, mais pas très bien.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oui, oui.
Yeah.
Zaleski knows all my multilingual abilities, right? I've been studying on Duolingo for almost 500 days, and mainly Spanish, and I'm still at like hola, ¿cómo estás? So, we'll give it a try. Keep going.
Nice.
Now, so you're born and raised in Winnipeg, small town. What'd your parents do?
My parents, well, here's the deal. My parents, they split up when I was young, man. Like when I was probably my dad was in the Navy up until I was about 5 years old. So I lived on the road quite a bit, not like per se on the road, but we moved around a lot when I was a kid. I was born in Winnipeg. My dad was actually out at sea on the Navy on the East Coast. So my mom and myself moved to Montreal. So that's like more east in Canada.
Yeah.
Have you been to Canada before?
No.
Right, you're going to have to come up sometime.
I know, I keep getting invites.
Yeah.
I might go up.
Yeah. Montreal's a great place to go check out. Lots of history there. It's like old European, beautiful churches over there, like cathedrals and stuff. But anyways, my dad was stationed out east at sea. So when I was about 1 or 2 years old, my mom and myself moved to Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we moved to Montreal, and I think like 2 years after that, we moved to Nova Scotia, which is like the east coast, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess my parents split up from over there, and my mom moved to Montreal, and me and my dad moved back to Winnipeg. So my dad was in the Navy basically up until I was like 4 or 5 years old. And then my mom, right now what she does is she's actually an elementary school counselor. She's been over there for like 30 plus years, so she helps like kids, troubled kids.
Yeah.
And then my dad right now, he's actually a security guard.
Now, who were you closest with growing up, mom or dad?
To be honest, I think what I love so much about you, man, is I just heard you like talking to your mom. Like, man, I wish I had that kind of relationship with my mom. Like, it sounds like you're super, super close. I heard that on other interviews with some other guys, so that's awesome, man. I admire that so much. But I grew up more from me. I was closer with my dad, I'd say.
Yeah, man. And so and I share a lot in regard to like my story, my past, and how close I am with my mom. But my dad was super influential, even though he's only had small pockets that he's been involved in my life.
Right.
So, but he's still been like incredibly influential and a major reason on who I am today. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for my dad and for that like very militant style of leadership he had in my life from a very young age of like, there's no crying, there's no complaining, there's no saying you can't. If you set your mind to it, you're going to become the greatest. And honestly, we didn't participate in anything not to become the greatest. So, you know, my dad, you know, for the small amount of time I have had involved with him, he's probably one of the strongest men, you know, greatest men that I know. I mean, talk about resilient. This dude is resilient. He perseveres. He overcomes. When you think of like, the world describes it as like toxic masculinity. It's just masculinity. This is a dude that will go to war for what he wants. You know what I mean? He's a man. So, dude, it's incredible. So I love that. Now, is it Canadian Navy that your dad was a part of?
Yeah, he was part of the Canadian Navy.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. I don't know what's the difference.
Dude, well, the thing is like we're so Americanized. I
Yeah.
feel like in America, we're like we just think there's American Navy. There's like we start to forget like there's other militaries.
Right.
You know what I mean? And other which this will sound so stupid. Somebody watching this will be like, oh, you must be a numbskull. But I never even like considered like, dude, you know what I mean? Like there's just world powers all around. You know what I mean? Because you typically just hear what's in the news. You never hear Canada's going to war. I don't think I've ever heard that in 25 years of my life. You know what I mean? You know, you always get the typical Canadians are super nice and, you know, there's Canadian bacon everywhere. The streets are filled with maple syrup. And
I should have brought you some.
like, yeah, dude, that would have been incredible.
Badass, yeah.
That would have been incredible. You know what? I actually have had a Canadian MMA fighter on my podcast, and he actually, where did he come from? So I know there's little pockets of like diversification in Canada because he came from like Russia or something.
Oh, okay.
And no, it's super, super cool. So you're growing up. What was the first major thing that occurred in your life that started to pivot you out of the traditional world? Because you didn't go the route that your parents went. You became an entrepreneur. So like, what's the first major moment, like from a very young age, that started to like shape you?
It's a great question. I mean, I don't think there's one particular thing, but I can remember two things. So I think my dad really taking the I guess forefront in raising me. I think that really like, because I was raised by my dad basically my whole adolescence and early childhood. And then the second thing is when my dad and his fiance at the time, they were together for 10 years, probably from when I was the age of 7 to 16 when they split up. They split up, and my dad was living in this house that had nothing in it. The only stuff that was in it was in my bedroom. So I remember seeing my old man like sleeping on like the floor, like literally. I mean, everything was gone. Like the couches were gone, the beds were gone, everything was gone. I remember seeing him like laying on the floor, like with like basically just pillows and like bed sheets. And I think that was the first thing. I was like, I'm never gonna let this happen to me, no matter what happens. And I remember them always complaining about money and fighting about money. I remember one time, hopefully they don't ever see this, what I'm about to tell you about. It's all good if they do. But I remember one time, me and my dad went to a bike auction. I was probably like 7 years old, 6 years old. And I guess, I don't know if they got this down here, but when bikes get stolen, I guess police officers, they go auction them off because they weren't able to figure out who the bike belonged to, whatever. So I remember my dad buying this bike for his fiance at the time, and it was like, back then it was like $185 or like $185, which is like nothing. Like you can't even go out for dinner for $185 nowadays, right? And I remember like bringing it back, and I remember my dad, she asked like how much was the price, and he's like $185, and she just lost it. She like, hopefully she doesn't see this once again. She just booted the bike. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy.
That's insane.
Think about that, $185, man. That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's like you and your wife going out for dinner.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Literally, like
no drinks.
No drinks, and probably like in like Kansas. You know what I mean? Like $185 when you think of that now, but dude, and at 7 years old, you know, I read this book by Harv T. Eker. I think it was Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and basically it just highlights how important it is, the environment that you constantly are surrounded in. Not that you just grow up in, but especially as you grow up in.
Right.
And that's why like 90% plus of the world lives in this economy of brokenness. It's not because, oh, the economy's poor. It's because the mental economy of the individual is poor. That's how society raises us. Each individual household looks at money with this scarcity mindset. We have to hold on to every single dollar. And it's not a rule or a principle or a law, a universal law for you to be careless with money. Right. But it's for you to be careful with the way you use money so it makes you more money, and having a mindset of appreciation and gratitude, right. But also simultaneously of acceptance that money comes and money goes. Right. You know, that's why I've never had issues.
The more you get.
You know, and it's like very rarely
whenever I
you
invest
open a house
back,
like that. Dude,
it always comes back.
It always comes back.
I'm like, shit, man, I just spent all my money on this.
Yes.
And I'm like, man, why did I do that?
Yeah, man.
And then it always comes back.
1,000%.
Every time.
1,000%. So, 7 years old, the money, seeing your dad. Now, as you continue to get older, you get into middle school, you get into high school. What are some more moments that start to shape?
Oh man, Brett? I guess I got out of rocky teenage years, I should say. I got into drinking and drugs relatively young, like grade 9. Like I was like doing hard drugs basically all throughout high school. And like I just got to the point until when I was like 21 years old, I was like, either I'm going to die from drinking and doing drugs, or I'm going to quit drinking and doing drugs, and then try and change. I mean, I went to rehab when I was like 21 years old. Yeah. Like a 28-day program. I remember I was dating this girl at the time, and there was a 28-day program, and I snuck my phone in there. I'm a little bit rebellious, as a lot of entrepreneurs and salespeople are, right? I don't like to follow rules, whatever, right? So I snuck my phone in there when they told you, like, you signed a waiver, like, no phones, no that. I snuck it in there, right? I wanted to talk to my friends, whatever. And a dude messaged me and was like, yeah, your girlfriend's, like, at the time, he's like, yeah, she's cheating on you. I'm, like, tripping out. I'm, like, 26 days sober, right? Yeah, I know you met some people in recovery and stuff, and it's like, they say when you first get sober, you're, like, emotionally... you're as emotionally intelligent as you were before you started using drugs. So basically, if I started using drugs when I was like, 13, hard drugs, I was basically like an 11-year-old in a 21-year-old's body. Yeah. Right? In my mind, like, that's how your emotions are. That's what they say, right? And when you clean up, you start to get more emotionally, I guess, intelligent or in tune or whatever, right? But anyway, so I found out that this gal that I was dating at the time was cheating on me, lost my mind, I packed up all my shit from the rehab, left, and then I went back on this path of chaos for another 6 months. It wasn't until like 6 months after that, when I was laying and convulsing on my washroom floor, where I literally thought I was going to die. I was like, man, I got to turn my life around. And at that point, I was like, man, I can't go to rehab again and not work for 28 days. I'll be homeless. I can't drink because I'll die. I can't go, like, so I was kind of at that jumping off place, right? So I was like, man, well, I know one way that's going to help, and I'm just going to go do that. And sure enough, that's what I did. So 12-step meetings. Wow. Right.
Until you get cleaned up.
Right. I started believing something bigger than admit that I got a problem. Start believing something bigger than Brett Granger. I mean, Brett Granger's way got me into where I am right now, right? So obviously my fucking way doesn't work. Right. And then everything else that you got to do in that program.
And then once you complete that, where do you go next in life?
I mean, that program is really just a lifelong program, right? Okay. I truly feel my entry level into personal development was going down that path of destruction. Wow. Because had I not gone down that path of destruction and like almost died and been on like death's doorstep, like I remember convulsing, like literally I saw like white lights. Like I remember like laying on the floor, like shaking, like it was bad. Like I was drinking whiskey like 20 all day long. I was going to work like that, operating like that, driving like that. And mind me, I was 21 years old at the time. I'm only 32 right now, so it's not like it's that fucking long ago. Right, so I believe going to these groups or these meetings or whatever really put me in tune with personal development. That was the first time that I believed in something other than me. And then I really went down like the personal development rabbit hole. So I remember going to these things, and all these guys were in sales. I'm like, why the fuck are these guys all in sales? What do they know that I don't know? Like my mentors, people that were helping me stay clean and sober, they were all in sales. They were in real estate, selling cars, selling this. I'm like, man, I thought sales is like a crime. Like, isn't that like something that like sleazy people do? Like they take people's money. And I mean, I kind of still had the scarcity mindset back then because I didn't understand money yet or anything like that. So from these mentors, I was like, man, everyone in here is in sales. Why the hell are these guys in sales? Is it because they ruined their life so badly? Like, you got to be in sales, like, or whatever, dude. I didn't understand. And then, anyways, I was working like 2 jobs back then at the time while I was like cleaning my life up and like getting shit in order. And I was working like in a kitchen basically, like evenings, like 5 to 2 a.m. in the morning. And then in the daytime, I was working at a windshield repair place, like those tents outside. I don't know if they have them down here in the States or whatever. And I was working 2 jobs, doing like 80 plus hours a week, 100 hours a week some weeks. Yeah. And my only goal back when I was 21 years old was like, how do I make $1,000 a week? Like if I can just make $1,000 a week and stay clean and sober, man, my bills are like $250, $3,000 extra a month. I'm like a baller. Yeah. At least that's what I thought at the time, right? Yeah. So, and then I got, I was going to go into university. I actually failed the course to go into university, or not the course, like the prerequisite to go into it. They wanted me to do like a, like take a bunch of pictures and like write up about this stuff. And I wanted to go into communications, which is funny because just doing sales is like way more important than communications. You doing way more stuff in sales, dealing with people, rejection, pain, struggle, all those things that you learn in sales. And basically I didn't finish it. Yeah. The day that I was supposed to finish the program, I procrastinated, waited till last minute, and I didn't finish it, and I went out drinking that night. So I was like 6 months sober at this time, and I relapsed. Wow. So I didn't finish it, and then I was like, shit. And then a little bit after that, I applied for a sales job. But I didn't know it was a sales job at the time. Yeah.
And so what was that sales job?
So that sales job, funny enough, so I applied to a job. Do you guys know what Kijiji is? Have you ever heard of that? Kijiji? It's like, it's kind of like, you can go on Kijiji and you could like post things for sale. You can find jobs. It's like a classifieds basically. Yeah. So I remember going on there and I'm looking for work and I saw this one company. It's called WHS. I'm not going to say, I guess I can say it doesn't matter. It's not around anymore. Winnipeg Health Systems. So on the job description it said Class 2 medical devices, air purification. So I applied to this job, show up at this office, and go through the interview process. I'm like, man, this is awesome. I'm going to be selling like doctor's equipment. Like, is this like Pursuit of Happiness or something? Yeah. Right? So went through the training program, and then like on like the second or third day, they bust out a vacuum cleaner. And then turns out I was selling like high-end vacuums. Yeah. It's a badass vacuum though. This thing could like fly, man. It can dance, it can sing. Yeah. It's badass. But that's what I did for my first entry years of getting into sales, like door-to-door vacuum sales.
Wow.
Yeah. It really sucked, Tristan.
So you do how many years of vacuum sales?
It was only 2.
2 years of vacuum sales. Where do you go next?
Open up my office.
So you open up your office. How did you get inspired to open up?
Okay, I'll tell you this. So in this business that I was in at the time, there's a career development program. So it was like they would give you startup inventory and startup capital as long as you hit X amount of targets. Okay. Right, over like a month or 2 months. And it was like a 2-year type program to finish. And I finished it after 2 years. Just sales targets, essentially. They give you inventory and capital.
So you created your own vacuum cleaning office?
Right, exactly.
So, and then once you start your own vacuum office, then what does that look like?
Okay, so I start my own vacuum office, 24 years old. Yeah. Do that for about 6-7 months, I think, maybe 8 months. And the guy that promoted me from within his office, he sat me down on a Friday afternoon with his sales manager. We kind of did this weird program. He like wanted me to be like an inside dealer, and he was like the dealer. So like we shared an office. It'd be crazy. It'd be like if the guy that like recruited you and promoted you shared this office with you. So it was like I'm like paying half the bills, but he has all the control. It was a terrible situation. But I didn't know any better. I was a young kid, right? Yeah. So me and this guy split this office for a short amount of time, and we split this office. We split the overhead. He has all the control and say, and then so we sit down with him. I'm trying not to use names here. I'm trying very carefully.
Yeah, I can relate to this.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there with the guy that promoted me, his sales manager, and myself in a meeting, and he starts asking us, hey, like, what are some things you don't like about this business? So he's like, so I'm telling him all the struggles that we're having with the business. He's asking his sales manager, and he's like, as of Monday, we're no longer selling this product. We're actually going in a different direction. We're selling water filtration systems. And mind me, like I just had my best week in business that week. Finally, the gears are turning. We got some momentum. Wow. It's like it was my biggest week. I was like, shit, man. Like if this guy's switching, and he's been doing this gig for like 6-7 years.
Yeah.
What does that mean for me?
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I always thought this guy was like super successful, but he's one of those guys where he like flexes like the bottles of wine, the trips and all that shit. And, like turns out like he's probably gonna say this one day or whatever.
Yeah.
He didn't save any money ever. So that's one thing that I learned from him. A lot of times we learn from what not to do.
You learn
what not to do.
Yes, 1,000%.
Right, through the hardships, the adversity, what the name of the thing, right? So we learned a lot from what not to do. Like, man, 1,000%. I shouldn't have put my hand on that hot fucking coil.
Yeah.
I burnt myself.
Yeah, dude.
Shouldn't do that again.
Yeah.
So switch to water, do that for a few months. And it sucked. It was really painful because all my sales guys were brand new. They just weren't this sales process, and now we're like switching it on them again. So I got myself in a little bit of debt at 24, which at the time I thought was ridiculous. I thought I was going to die. It wasn't that much debt now that I look back on because I mean I'm just more risk adverse. I'm more wiser. I'm more intelligent now when it comes to making decisions. So anyways, I was $40,000 in debt at 24. I thought I was going to die. Yeah. Right. I actually got myself out of debt like that in just a few weeks, just from going out in the field, learning how to sell the water system, etc. That venture basically failed, and then I just went back out in the field and just kept selling and saving up money, and really just started saving up dough. Yeah. Like it was weird. From like, I used to make like $8,000 a month when I was 24, but I was always broke, man. Yeah. For like years, like at least like a year or 2 years. I'd make AGs and I just be broke because I just get it, put it in my bank account, blow it on whatever. Yeah. No one taught me money management, you know? Yeah.
And then, so you go through the money management issues, you go through getting yourself out of debt, you go through the switching, the process from the different products, and then what?
And then, so we do that for about a year. I was working underneath them again for another year, I'd say, just selling the products, which was really nice because I had all the responsibility of like at the time it was nice. Yeah. Until I realized I was like, fuck, I hate being a salesperson. I'm a better leader. Yeah. I work better with people. I get more I don't know what the right word is. I don't know if even fulfillment's the right word. I just get more. I just feel better when I help people hit their goals. Right. Yeah. Like the saying is, you can have anything you want in this world if you help enough people get it. Good old zig, right? Yeah. So I remember like going through this process or whatever, and I just remember like one day just like I just started crying. I'm like, man, I just want to I want to be training people again, working with people. Yeah. Because I was just out in the field for like 3-4 months. I was like, man, this is boring. Like this is like, lonely. Like I get so much more. I don't even know if that's the right word either. But I just feel better helping other people like become like the best version of themselves or a higher version of themselves. So I was in the field for I guess 9 months, and then I saved up money and I ended up leaving that company. So I was like, the guy I worked for, I was like, man, I can't learn anything from you anymore. That's what I truly thought. Like, he was never really around anyway, so I couldn't learn anything from him. I felt like I outgrew him. I was like, you know what, I'm going to move away. So I moved from Winnipeg to Montreal at that time, and then I was selling the water systems in Montreal. So I don't know if you know Montreal, but it's French there. Okay. Right. I can understand French, but I can't really speak it well. Wow. Yeah, so they're booking me calls out there only in English, and the people in the office all spoke French. Wow. Yeah, so I couldn't even really communicate with them. Right. So I did that for a few weeks, and then and then that's how I got into the business that I'm currently in, which is fire safety. So I messaged a guy on Facebook that was in one of the previous businesses that we were in. I was like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm selling fire alarms, baby. Like, that's what he said to me. Yeah. I'm selling fire alarms, baby, on like Facebook. I'm like, how the hell do you sell a fire alarm?
Yeah, how do you sell a fire alarm?
Yeah. And then he sent me some training videos. I watched them. I was like, man, this is awesome. We could literally have hundreds of people out in the field selling this thing. There was like nobody in the business at the time. It was brand new to Canada as of 2018. So like 6 years ago.
Nobody had fire alarms.
Well, they had fire alarms, but not this particular product. It was first introduced in Canada like that year. Yeah. Youngest guy at the time in the business last year. I just saw an opportunity and just ran with it. Yeah. So we're in Montreal selling. moved back to Winnipeg. It just made more sense. There was some personal stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Went back to Winnipeg, got an office going there, started just killing it, and then we basically like opened up offices all in Western Canada. And then about 2 years ago, I moved to Toronto to start building the East.
So is it a franchise type of ownership in the fire safety business that you have?
Yeah, it's more of a franchise per se. It's like,
so you have
I work with
responsibility for like offices and leads for your people?
Right. So I kind of give you a little overview here.
Yes.
So it's like if I recruited you, Tristan,
Yeah.
and then you came in, I trained you up,
Yeah.
etc. I'd work with you for a period of time, and like basically like raise you, like bring you up through the ranks.
Yeah.
And then you would be a trainer in my office, and then a manager.
Yeah.
And then when you have the experience and the startup capital, you can go open up your own office and bring a couple guys with you. So kind of like a franchise, but it would be like your own office.
Yeah,
so
that's how the
like
insurance space works. Yeah, the insurance works pretty much identical to that.
Yeah.
But so how's the product work though? You know what I mean? So obviously it's a fire alarm, but like,
right. So great question.
how are you
so
selling this? What is it?
It's a great question. So we have like we have different marketing campaigns that we run. We work lots off of referrals, just like you guys, right? But yeah, it's all in-home sales. So I've only done in-home sales for the last 10 years.
Wow.
Like not over Zoom.
Wow. This is all, that's all Zoom out there.
It's all Zoom. So and like we literally go to people's houses.
Yeah.
Man, and like,
that was my first 2.5 years of sales was in house, and then the last 3.5, 4 years has been all Zoom, all virtual sales.
Yeah. So I mean, in-home selling, I that's all I know, right?
Yeah.
I've done a few Zooms just like during COVID and stuff, but
yeah.
So anyways, back to the question. So in-home sales, we basically do like meetings. We show people like, I don't know if you know this. I was talking to your boy out there. What was he's from Michigan actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a Michigan guy there.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. He was saying, I was like, man, why are your smoke alarms even in here? So the most common alarm, it's called an ionization alarm. They fail like 55% of the time in a smoldering fire. People don't realize this.
Yeah.
Like people are like, man, my alarm goes off when I cook bacon, I burn toast, I take a shower. It's like really sensitive, like it works real good. But when it comes down to it, when it's a real fire, they don't go off a lot of the time. People don't realize that. Like you can look up articles and stuff. Like it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So our network is basically an early warning fire detection system. Completely different type of technology. We have like heat sensors for places you can't put smoke alarms, attics, garages, kitchens, utility rooms. You can't put alarms in any of those places.
Wow.
CO sensors. We have this crazy thing that like shakes your bed.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. So I mean, it's for your bed, like to wake up, but some people might want to use it for other things.
I was gonna say, Zaleski might want one of those. So so
I'm not a Mormon.
Water sensors, flood and freeze sensors. It's all connected to an app, so
now
it's badass. Yeah.
Is it direct to the consumer, or do you guys sell direct to business?
To a consumer.
Okay, so you guys are going like homes wise, and you market. So you'll probably use like digital marketing, whether you guys are generating the leads through Facebook ad campaigns,
right?
Maybe direct mail.
A little bit of direct mail, yeah. Not so much direct mail. I find like direct mail is good in some cases.
Yeah.
A lot of people just throw them out there. You know?
But your best is
hanger signs.
Yeah, hangers.
Referrals.
Okay, referrals.
War market. I'm sure you guys do a lot of like war market.
Yeah,
members,
1,000%.
right?
Yeah, 1,000%.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best.
1,000%. Oh, this is sweet, dude. It
Pretty
reminds me
similar.
of security and solar and like, you know, all this. So it's like you got your
It's very
store-to-door
specific
legitimate
niche, which is what I love so much about it.
Is
like,
this in America?
Yeah, it is. It's the manufacturer's actually out of Dallas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's incredible. Man, dude, yeah, you guys are caking. You're making a lot of money in that. So, dude, you got the fire safety, start blowing that up. Now, what's your ideal candidate when you're looking to hire somebody and just kind of scale your business and, you know, bring these
Great
individuals?
question. So ideal candidate, I'd say is, I just look back at myself, man. It'd be like, probably say, your ideal candidate's probably a young man just like you, like when you first started. Like Tristan or
Actually,
Brett.
I actually prefer the women now in the virtual
Yeah.
world because you and I can relate. It's like if I want to do business, well, I'm going to probably trust a girl a little more. You got the and your mindset kind of like the nurturing of a mother, but also, you know, you see a cute girl trying to sell you something that might be a little more convincing. You know what I mean? Or you got your average dumb young man that might just buy to try to appease the woman. You know?
Right.
But yeah, the women crush it in the virtual sales space. But no, I think ultimately as well, I think of that young hustler, that young killer, that war mode mindset of like when I first started, it was 24/7. I had the blinders on. Nothing else mattered. Nothing existed.
Right.
I did like it didn't like I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't sleep. I would just literally drive, knock on doors, presentation, rinse, repeat. Like nothing mattered to me. So yeah, if I could find that, man, I would I'd double the. Be stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be stupid.
That reminds me so much of myself.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, that's the ideal candidate right there for you. I would
Yeah.
imagine somebody that can put the blinders on, lock
Just
in,
put the
have
blinder-
passion,
Right.
and the competency as well. Because you could have, there's some people that are like super passionate, but they don't have the competency. And the competency for me is just like common sense. Like you have, for me, I would tell people I got 3 things I'm looking for. I'm looking for character. Can I trust you?
Right.
We can't do business long term if I can't trust you. We can do business, but we just can't do it long term. We can't do it intimately, and we can't go to a high level
Yeah.
if you don't have the character. Secondly, I look for the competency. Like, does this individual have common sense? Because they can't, like, you were like, you got to know this script and do this and do that. Like, dude, do you have common sense? Okay, we can do business together. You have common sense. And then the consistency. Because a lot of guys probably come into your business and they're hot right off the rip.
Right.
And they're hot for a day. Hey, I made a bunch of knocks today.
Right.
And then they show up late tomorrow.
Right.
Or they made a bunch of knocks in a week and then they show up late the next week. They made a bunch of knocks in a year and then they start to cool off.
Right.
Those guys never make it. Those guys never get to the top. They never get to where you're at. They want to make your money, but they don't want to do
The
what
work.
you've done.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I
I want to
imagine.
take shortcuts. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Is that
So
it for
true.
you? Is that what you look
Same
for?
thing, man. Same exact thing. What I always tell people in interviews, I always tell them this. There's 3 things that separate like a veteran in our business that kills it compared
Yeah.
to someone like yourself, Tristan. First thing is experience. Now, how do you get the experience?
Reps.
You got to go actually do it, right?
Yeah.
Reps, exactly. The second thing is the work ethic. So the guy's making like a few $1,000s a week, $10,000 plus a month. They're not afraid to do the early morning appointment, the late night appointment.
Yes.
They show up on time. They take notes. They're constantly learning, constantly trying to get better.
Yes.
And the third thing, the most important thing, is your attitude.
Yeah.
So like if you think you're going to go out there and do it, you're going to do it. If you think you're not going to go out there and do it, you're not going to do it.
Yes.
Right? So your attitude is by far the most important thing, like your
Yes.
mindset.
1000%, bro.
So that's always what I tell guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, ideal candidate, man, I'd say anywhere from, I think the prime age is like 22 to like 27 probably.
Wow.
Because I just feel like from 18 to 22, you're still like,
Yeah, there's still
you're still
maturity.
like immature a little
Yeah.
bit. You're not fully confident in
Yeah.
yourself. I just
Yeah.
remember being a little bit weird when I was that age.
Dude, I was so broken at 18. I had already went through life. You know what I mean? Like I was an old man by 18 years old. Both my parents were away, and my mom got out first, raised me and my little sister, and so like for me, I was drinking at 12. You know?
Wow.
Yeah, I was drinking. I'd never gotten hardcore drugs, but I got into some soft drugs. You know what I mean? 12 years old, more so like selling it. You know, I was talking like I would have my mom drive me around and do drop-offs.
Wow.
You know, 12, 13 years old. I had my first gun at 15. Like I was a wild child. So I got a lot of life out.
Right.
17, I was exhausted. I had my stomach pumped a couple times from drinking
Shit,
too much,
man.
and you know what I mean. Just exhausted from the brokenness and the pain of life. 18 hit, and I found insurance. Dog, I was locked in. Like I was a catch. An absolute catch. I brought a lot of money in for the company that recruited me. You know what I mean. And then things evolved and things didn't work out. I can relate a lot to having arrangements where you're doing a lot of the work and it doesn't make sense.
Right.
You know what I mean, in regard to how everything's like set up, and I honestly just recently went through that, and I'm only a couple months into transitioning, out of that. So now it's a whole new. I feel like you're talking.
It's like reborn.
We have and it's like right around the same time. I'm 25.
Yeah.
So like I'm like I can relate.
Wow, you're so young,
bro. I can relate to all this, and then I've got the brand and the media company that's also simultaneously built up to where it's like, dude, I'm almost I go over the numbers of like what I've put in, just roughly like estimates. I'm probably close to $1 million of money over the last 6 years.
Invested back in.
Yeah, just into like media and brand, and it is starting to pay off like I've never imagined. I'm talking like, not to like, I'm not like famous or anything like that, but
Yeah.
there's not a chance in hell right now that I go out and there isn't some type of connection and recognition of, hey, you're the guy off Instagram. Hey, you're the guy off TikTok. Hey, you're the insurance guy. I see I saw you with Andy Elliott. I saw you with Patrick Bet-David. You were just Wes Watson, Eric Spofford, Antonio Brown, like all of these connections I would never have dreamed of, dude. I was just this broken nobody kid growing up on food stamps, the food bank lines, getting laughed at, and thinking that I was just gonna be a little mediocre, angry gangbanger looking for fights, dude. To be on stages with these guys at the age that I'm at, and now be able to like show people through the media and the consulting of, dude, I can help you get there. Here's how I did it. Because a lot of these gurus out there, they'll create these coaching programs and then they leave out all of the actual strategy. It's just hoorah and this and that. That's what I love about Patrick David. It's legitimate, like here's implementable strategy, and like that's what I bring to the table. And then I just launched this sales hub company. It literally just did a soft launch this past week. It's incredible. So the biggest problem that everyone experiences in the sales world, and I'll start with the recruiter, is we've all wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars on staffing companies, recruiting services, recruiting companies, and more importantly, we've wasted millions on bad hires. A bad hire will be your biggest loss ever.
Burns your leads.
More than burning in your leads, it burns your life. There's one thing in this world you can never get back, is your time. Right. When another human being wastes your time, it's not their fault. There's just no alignment. So I created Sales Hub with this mindset of this concept created in my mind probably 3-4 years ago when I was like, I'm going to make a podcast and generate so much attention over time, not overnight, that I'm going to be able to cherry pick my hires. I'm just going to bring them in. I'm done chasing people. I'm going to bring them in. They're going to see me.
Attract them.
I'll attract them because I'll have a massive brand. They'll come to me. And then I was like, why just stop there when I can cherry pick and then sell off the others? I'll just sell them off on an individual basis. And then,
gotcha.
Then they started to come in more and more. I started to get 5, 10, 15 applicants a day, and I was like, damn.
Coming to you.
Coming to me. Through just
Instagram,
social media, Instagram, YouTube. They were like, dude, we saw you. And I was like, damn, I don't think I should just sell them individually. What if I created a website or an app or a place where I could create a subscription base for the recruiter to connect directly with the recruitee?
Bro, you're like a pimp.
Literally. It's subscription on both ends too. So like, and that, do it, imagine, and this is what I promised the recruiter. Imagine, I'm not promising you the best hire, but I am promising you I can save you time. What is that worth to you?
Love it.
To millionaires, saving us time is like cake.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, bring me more.
Right.
If you can get me more of my time, I will give you any dollar amount. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Give me more of my time. Every dude I've ever met over 100 mil plus, they're usually in their 40s, 50s.
Right.
You know what they all want? They want to be 25. They love the money.
Because they spent so much time.
They want the time.
They want their time back.
So this is what I'm selling. Sales Hub is going to give you your time back for the recruiter and for the recruitee. Because the recruitee out there right now that's not making millions of dollars, guess what you lose? Every year you don't make $1 million, guess what you lose? $1 million.
Right.
Because you should have made $1 million.
Right.
Or the year you don't make 10 million, like your next goal, it might be profit 10 mil. Well, if you don't make 10 mil this year, you lost 10 mil. How do we help you get there? Sales Hub takes the individual that's never been in sales, that is in sales, and you plug in for $1 a day. You guys are all paying for Netflix. You plug in for $1 a day, and it connects you with all of the leaders in all of the sales industries. And we're just starting out right here in America. It's going to go to Canada. It's going to go to, I'm going to have it international.
Nice. It's
going to be nuts. It's going to take over the entire game. And I'm going to talk to you more about it off the podcast, because guys that work with me at the level that you do, I'm going to try to tie in like secret access and like plug people in and take care of people. People that do business with me, bro, like I'm like coming from the means that I come from, like I try to take care of people for life. You know what I mean? That's like, if you don't over deliver on value and customer service, that's how you build a business. Then my biggest thing is like I relate to Patrick David. I love customer service. Not only do I love to receive it, I love to give it. I love to make sure people feel amazing. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my little rant on everything we got piecing together, the wow factor and everything like that. As we tie back in, so the fire safety is incredible, dude. I love this concept. I've heard of every sales thing in the world, and I'm sales talking to my girl. I was like, yeah, this dude's making a couple M's. He's a dog. He's a killer out of Canada. She's like, what's he do? She's in insurance too. She's like, I'm like, fire safety. She's like, fire safety?
How the hell do you?
Yeah, what's fire safety? I was like, dude, to be honest with you, I haven't really even asked him that much, but we want to go find out. And I am blown away, dude.
Yeah.
This is sick.
Yeah.
This is sick. Okay, so fire safety, you guys are crushing it, you're 8 figures. What's the next 5 moves?
You know what's actually funny about this though? When I was doing water or like the air purification and the vacuum
crazy.
sales,
You're like the avatar of sales. You went from water, air to fire.
I know, that's what everyone always says. Yeah, what's the other one?
What is the other one?
Earth.
Earth. No, water, air, yeah, earth.
Earth.
Yeah, you sold some earth in high school or something, probably.
Yeah, I did. You're right, actually.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So yeah, what I found like before I switched over as well too with the water, I was looking at some other companies that I wanted to get involved with before I made the jump to get into what we're doing now, and I really found that I was only doing the water for money because the money was like the markup was like stupid. Like I was making like disgustingly good money on the water, but I really found like I was just doing it for money. I almost felt like I like sold myself out almost.
Yeah.
And what I really love about what we're in, and maybe you can relate to this being in insurance, is like we're in the life-saving business. Like when we protect families, we've protected families that have had fires that night when they got our stuff installed in their house and they got out of their home. Like we hear stories all the time of, like last year we ended out over like 600 life-saving awards at our convention just for families that had our stuff that got out the night of their fire because they had our stuff. So it's like it's way more rewarding than just here's some clean water, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I found that doing this, it was just more purposeful. There's more meaning behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we also took off because I feel like my heart was actually fully in it.
Yeah, has to be.
Yeah,
Everything I've read
that.
from like a super high level, because I've always been conflicted on like, man, do you have to truly be super passionate? And at the highest level, 8, 9, 10 figures, dude, your passion's got to be there, dude. Your heart's got to be there.
Right.
Because I believe in life, you got to do what you have to do, not what you feel like doing. But as you start to level up, it has to start to align. Like, dude, when the feel aligns with the what you have to do, you start to explode. You know what I mean? Like once you I feel like developing myself every single day, and I feel like developing and growing this sales hub. Like people don't see it right now. I think we've got 35, 40 members in there. I literally just launched it 48 hours ago. I've been developing. This has been a fucking concept though for the last 3.5 years. You know, so it's like my heart is so into it where it's like you know your heart's into something when it's like there's no exit plan. Like I don't have an exit plan.
There's no plan B.
There's no plan B, dude. There's no exactly. And insurance as well. Like I'm so passionate, not for the insurance itself, but for all the young men and women. And when I say young, it's always a mindset. It's never there's 70-year-olds that work for me. And it's never a mindset, dude. Or no, it's never an age set, it's a mindset. The discrimination is like I align with youthful minded individuals. Right. You know what I mean? So that's not a number per se on a piece of paper. That's a number in the mind of how do you believe and perceive yourself. And so those people I connect with, that's what I'm passionate about, is how can I help others get what they want? Because I know everybody's selfish. People just don't want to admit it. I'm selfish. I want a better life. I know the key to a better life is help others. It's the only way. It's the only way. What's the next 5 moves for you?
Next 5 moves?
Yeah. Or at least next 2 or 3.
Next few, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, PBD's got the next 5. In my mind, sometimes I got 1.
15?
It's the next 5 moves. Yeah, choose your next 5 moves wisely. Choose your enemies wisely, and you got your next 5 moves.
Starting this brand new marketing campaign, so we're really excited about that. I mean, before we were selling the manufacturer's product, but now it's white labeled, which is awesome. So we kind of have like the full rings of what we want to do. So we got this crazy marketing campaign we got going. Really get dialed in on my personal brand, which is why thank you so much for having us. That's awesome, man. We're getting dialed in with that because that's going to really help us get to where we want to get to. And really just growing my main office and getting it really, really structured. Yeah. Because I want to build it to $10 million. That's been my goal for the last like 3-4 years. Yeah. Kind of made a transition when I moved from Western Canada. I don't know if I told you this. I moved from Calgary to Toronto 2 years ago. Yeah. So like it was kind of like a restart. Yeah. So like moved out of Calgary because I wanted to get the East going. I mean, there's more population, there's more people. I always told myself when I first started doing this 6 years ago, I was like, I'm gonna get an office in every major city in Canada. Yeah. So I mean, I started in Winnipeg. We went out that way, west. So now, got to go out east, right? Yeah. Moved there basically by myself, a few other guys. and just basically rebuilding.
Sweet, dude.
Like 2 years ago. So it's been fun. It's been challenging. I mean, there's been times where like, why the hell am I putting myself through this?
Yeah.
I really got to be doing this.
No other way to
but
live.
what else would I be doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are the next 3 moves.
Let's go.
That
I love it, dude. Hey, I always ask everybody as we start wrapping up, do you have a favorite movie? Some people don't watch nothing.
Favorite movie, man. Man, I love your
these are books.
Here. You got like all these.
Yes.
I'm into horror movies too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually not into horror movies. I'm into scaring people. So I'll put those on. I'll put those on and like run around the office sometimes randomly and scare the shit out of somebody.
Remind me, what's this movie again with the engine that falls and the guys?
So I have watched a bunch of horror movies accidentally and like not on purpose, but that reminds me of one that's really freaky. Is It with the clown, right?
Yeah. That one's Batman. I'm pretty sure.
That's Batman for sure. That Joker mask. That thing was like $200.
This like bunny thing that is from
no idea what that is.
Donnie Darko.
I've heard of that.
That's from Donnie. I believe so.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
But I'm more of a war movie. Like the Spartan 300 would probably be my favorite memorabilia in here.
Favorite movie, man. That's a great question, man. You know what? I'm gonna have to say, ooh, that's too hard, man. American History X is a good movie.
Is that scary?
No, you never seen it?
What's it
You've
about?
never seen Oh man, you gotta just watch it.
What is it about?
It's about this dude, like this like family, and I guess they're like racist or whatever.
Yeah.
You never seen it before?
No.
Man, just go watch it.
Yeah.
You'll be crying by the end of the movie.
Oh, like it's a super deep movie.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like these guys that are like racist or whatever, and then they like turn the lives around.
Wow.
I can't believe you never heard of it.
Sounds like a Joe Rogan type of movie.
That's like an iconic movie.
Yeah, I can see Joe Rogan like interviewing
Edward
those
Norton?
guys. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's in it. Yeah, I think it's from the '90s, but that's
Yeah.
one movie. Movies. There's too many good ones.
Yeah.
There's too many good ones.
Favorite book then?
The Warriors. Have you ever seen the movie The Warriors? It's like an old school gangster movie from like the '80s.
No, I haven't.
Wow, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Probably it. There's a video game on it, man.
Who's in it?
I don't know actors. This is like way back. In
Okay,
the day,
yeah.
So it's like we don't even know.
Yeah. What about favorite book?
Favorite book. Man, you probably know my favorite book. There's a few. Psycho-Cybernetics.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
I was down in LA actually a few weeks ago. I was walking on the Huntington Beach Pier, just going out there to look out. And I turned the corner and I just see this dude reading Psycho-Cybernetics. I was like, man, that's my favorite book.
Wow.
Yeah.
I audio read it, so I'll do a lot of audio.
Yeah, and I do the same.
I do a significant
do a lot of
audio.
driving, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Outwitting the Devil.
That's my favorite. Outwitting the Devil. Read a couple times. Think and Grow Rich a couple times.
Yeah.
Those are simple, basic, but incredible, foundational, fundamental, like non-negotiable. You have to read those.
I just read The Laws of Success actually.
That's a good.
That's
one.
more like that's more like principles and strategies.
The principles. Yeah. You know some of my favorite books.
Yeah. What are some of yours?
How to Make a Few $1 Billion. I just did from Brad Jacobs. Extreme Hospitality, I believe it is.
Who is that by? I heard that one by.
So that one's everybody's recommending right now. PBD recommended it. It's like Extreme Hospitality. I don't know exactly who it's by, but I'd say those two. And Buy Back Your Time. Dan Martell. I just finished that one.
It's like a book on like delegation.
Yeah, delegation. So that one, honestly, the first chapter is good. That's why I like audio and a lot of these books because very rarely we find a book where it's
That's a great book, man.
Oh, yeah.
Ray Dalio.
Dan Bilzerian's book was actually really good too. The setup. It's not just a bunch of sex.
I saw that up there. I wanted to ask.
Yeah, it's not just a bunch of sex. Like, there's a lot of sex in it.
Yeah, I heard
but
he was into like gambling and sex.
Dude,
right?
yeah, but honestly, it was strategic in regard to like how he built up his entire life, and it honestly tied into one of my other favorite books. And I know it sounds, I guess it's sexual, but it's The Laws of Seduction by Robert Greene. And
is that a good one?
Super good, dude. Because
I've only read like 2 of his books.
It's all based on the psychology. If you're not studying manipulation and psychology, it's going to be used against you. So like, it's like money. When people are like, dude, money is the root of all evil. No, your lack of knowledge of money is the root of all evil. It's your desire. Anything that's excessively desired in a negative form is the root of all evil. It's not money that is the root of all evil. So same with manipulation. It just magnifies who you are at your core. If you're a very evil person, you're going to use manipulation for a negative outcome. right? But we need to be able to identify it, because there's doctor manipulators, master manipulators that are able to disguise these agendas and take advantage of young men and women. Like, I feel like I've wasted years of my life from not being able to identify manipulators that are like black belts at disguising the manipulation, right? So it's very crucial, because people you can always identify when a leader is like, you know, maybe somewhat manipulative, when they're hiding the psychology books. You ever meet someone who's like, don't read the 48 Laws of Power, it's evil? Like, that's somebody like, why would you want to gatekeep this information from me? You must know something that I don't know, right? It's very important to educate yourself on psychology, because everybody has an agenda. And as soon as you can identify the different, everything's chess. Like, what maneuvering are they making to, you know, accomplish their agenda? I like transparency. What's your agenda? Here's my agenda. How can we meet in the middle? Opposed to, like, you know, using these hidden moves. And you have to educate yourself to figure out the most. So fire, dude. Is there anything else in your mind you wanted to hit before we wrap up?
Well, I mean, your show is called Adversity Kings.
Yes.
I was listening to one of your podcasts, the one you recommended me, Eric
Spofford, Sober House. Yeah.
Sober House, which was
sold
pretty
his business
cool.
for 100 mil plus.
Yeah, I've heard of that dude before.
He's probably one of my favorite podcasts I ever did.
Yeah. Was it just why do you say that?
I just randomly hit him up. He said, I'll do it. So I've spent close to 50 grand for an hour of some guy's time, and this is one of the wealthiest, you know, guys I've gotten access to. Said, you know what, I like your vibe. You remind me a lot of me coming up, genuine, and we just hit it off. You know what I mean? And just always, you know, just a chill, cool dude. You know what I mean? So like the humility, the legitimacy, you know, like just a solid dude. Solid dude, you know what I mean? And just the real story. It's very easy, like, as I get older and I get more reps and more reps and more reps, and I start to process, as more money is processed through my life, and I start to be able to, like, identify the fakes. It's so easy. Like, those that don't get reps, those that aren't good to people, you know, it's very easy to identify, like, dude, yeah, that dude's a faker, or maybe he's getting some bread right now, but he ain't gonna get it for long. You know what I mean? He don't have fulfillment in other areas of his life. Yeah, exactly. And it's usually those two areas. It's like, who's getting the most reps, who's gotten the most reps, and who's a genuine person, who's good to people, who's not on some high horse thinking like, I'm God. Like, dude, you know what I mean? You know how many businesses that have gone out of business that were multi-billion-dollar businesses? And some of these guys walk around.
With that mentality.
Yeah, well, not even that, like, maybe the ego, but also just the idea of, like, thinking they're untouchable. The untouchable is going to get you touched. You know what I mean? Like, some of these kids making 10 grand a month, grossing 10 grand a month, 20 grand a month, some of these men, and it's like, dude, you're a pebble. You respect. You think you're untouchable? Making $1 million a month, 200 million, like it does. J.C. Penney's went out of business. Toys R Us went out of business. You think you can't be knocked off that horse, dog? What are you talking about? Greater men have fallen. I always remind myself.
Greater men have fallen.
Greater men have fallen. Watch yourself, dog. Watch your shit, man. Keep getting up. Keep doing the work. Keep becoming better. Keep God first. Keep respecting the women in your life. Keep respecting the strangers in your life, because greater men have fallen. And you can be next. So, dude, I love it all, man. I love it all.
Love that message.
I'm excited, dude. I'm super excited. So, anything else?
I think that's it, man. Thank you so much for having me.
This is a wrap for Adversity Kings. Where can people find you? They want
You
to
can
work
find
with
me
you?
at Brett Granger 11 on Instagram, and our new podcast, The Eagles Den. We're in Toronto, Canada.
Do you guys have bald eagles too, or is it like a Canadian eagle?
We have bald eagles.
I'm playing.
Eagles.
You guys have to have
We
bald
must.
eagles.
You know what's funny? My old man used to call me a bald eagle
Yeah.
when I was growing up as a kid.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And
Did you like screech or something?
Pardon? I don't know. I think it's just because like my hairline back then.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my it's not funny, but my mom's native name is White Eagle Lady.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of hardcore.
Yeah, I just remember that, Jack.
Yeah.
My dad used to call me
Dude,
the
that's
Bald
hardcore.
Eagle.
That's sweet,
Yeah.
man. Dope. So again, guys, make sure you follow Brett Granger on Instagram. Check out the Eagles Den. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Like, subscribe. As we continue to grow and scale, we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.